Now let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Play ball! Let's talk about Manchester United because Sesko landed yesterday at Manchester United and is going to sign his contract this morning. And he's going to present it to the Old Trafford fans today because they have a friendly game against Forentina today by 12:30. He's going to present it to the fans. He's going to the way they normally do it for last seasons or a couple of seasons ago. He's going to present it to the fans. But the question I want to ask is, how do you think that you set up Sesko in this his team? Do you think that Sesko will be the lone striker and he had probably Mbuemo and Fernandes or Mbuemo and Cunha behind him, or he's going to play two strikers and Bruno Fernandes behind him? Them.
It's an exciting problem to have right now because Manchester United are still in that phase. Like, I feel one of the strengths of Ruben Amorim that has become one of the weaknesses is the tactical flexibility, because if you look at their last 5 games in the Premier League, it was hard for you to see them feel the same structure for the 5 games all throughout, because it was always moving on. You will see Dalo on the left. Next thing you see him on the right, you see Ahmad in that right, you see another player. So
he keeps moving pieces.
He keeps moving it,
trying to find where they will fit him very well.
Where they will fit him very well. And then sometimes when you find a player that fits a particular position, he goes ahead to move him just out of the wheel of moving him, because he has the final say. He's the final arbiter at Manchester United right now when we talk about all things tactically. Now, I think using Benjamin Sesko in that side, it all depends, for me, it all depends on if Hoejlund has a future at Manchester United. If Hoejlund has a future at Manchester United, then I can see him for some games playing 2 of them up front and then putting Bruno behind them and then the normal team behind them. If and some other games, I see him also playing Sesko alone because he's the main man, and then playing 2 10s behind him. So it depends, because I'm going to say if Hoejlund doesn't leave this summer, then he's going to have to interchange between these 2 formations throughout this season just to give the lads some game time. I think Sesko will only see game time coming off the bench, replace somebody in one of those 2 10 positions, because he excels well in that position. But for me, the cookie cutter formation for Manchester United is Sesko up front, those 2 10s behind him. And the way
what do you think about this lone striker for Sesko to play as a lone striker, the way they played last season with Hoejlund, or we pay him probably with another striker and play Bruno Fernandes behind him?
Zirkzee came in as a striker and said he's not his striker, and when was he played? He was played as a 10, and he told he's not a 10. Now his hold-up play and link-up play makes difference. Sesko for me comes in going to replace everybody. Is coming to replace Hoejlund. He's not this. I know I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'll still sing it like a song. Strikers from Syria, blah blah blah. You know how the saying goes. But I go back and say it's going to be hard to say this person goes on the bench, this person starts. Last season we were seeing a Brentford with Mbuemo and Wicha up front, which means it's 2 strikers up front. And these players have played in a system where either 2 strikers up front or playing as a double 10, they can work perfectly. Now for Sesko, we've seen him play in that position as well in some games for Leipzig, where if you look at the games last season where they played 3 at the back, 2 strikers up front. He played as a second 10 or as a supporting striker to the main guy, or perhaps he played to score the goals himself. Now for Cunha as well, you see him play as a 10, you see him score the goals, you see him play as a number 10 with the Japanese guy up front as well in Wolverhampton Wanderers. So these players are players who can play as a striker and as a 10. So it gives you leverage and in tactical flexibility. Yeah, you can lose the ball, and you see him play as a wing. Ahmad playing as a wing back.
Now look at it. Ahmad will play as a wing back because throughout the preseason he played as a wing back.
Now look at it. Ahmad playing as a wing back, and you have a proper full back in this other side. Mazraoui playing as a right CB. Can come in when you're defending, can come in and you have a 4-man defense. Depending on how the game goes, why Dogu comes back and you see a 4-man defense with Luke Shaw, Maguire, Mazraoui on the other side, and Dogu. Or perhaps if Luke Shaw is not playing, because he's been playing Luke Shaw as left centre half. Now if he switches this side and Dogu is not starting, you have a Dalot starting on the right wing back. You can, when you switch it backwards, you see a Luke Shaw, the 2 centre half, and Dalot on the right back. Now that's what the man wants to play. He can switch from 4-3-3 to 4-2-3-1 to anyhow. So depending on how the game progresses and you're seeing the lapses in the tactics, you make your substitution and you get on with the game.
It's going to be interesting because if Sesko is going to play as a lone striker or be partnered with someone, because the two Mbuemo and Cunha can play just behind the striker if they want to play just two forward. Probably Sesko is up front, then one of those players will play with him and Bruno Fernandes making up the whole attack, or they can play Sesko only him over. That's the formation they played majorly last season, where one have a one striker and play two number 10s. Remember, they still have Mount in that team. They still have Bruno Fernandes that can play behind the striker in that team. They still have Ahmad, even though he played majorly as a wing back throughout this preseason, can play behind the striker. They still have Mbuemo that can play behind the striker. So Amorim has an option. His option is actually large. This is like he has option to change formation, check tactics inside the game. So I don't think he has an excuse not to score goals. Manchester United has an excuse not to score a goal because last season was disastrous. I think both Hoejlund and Zirkzee didn't score up to 10, 11 Premier League goals, both of them throughout last season. So it's very, very poor. And Manchester United finished at a negative goal difference. That means they consider more goals than they scored. Now they have Sesko in that team. They bought 3 strikers in this particular window. They have Sesko, they have Mbuemo, they have Cunha, they have firepower in that team. So almost they need to score goals. They cannot finish with. I think this is second time in a row they finished in a negative goal difference. That means it's actually poor for a team like Manchester United. But let's see how Amorim is going to set up his team. If he's going to play Sesko as a lone striker, or he's going to partner him with another striker and play Bruno Fernandes behind them. That's the last formation he plays. So he has an option, even though he's going to play 3 at the back. Now he has more options up forward. He can switch and probably play midfielder as a number 10, probably Ahmad and Mount or Bruno Fernandes behind the striker, or they even play other strikers like Mbuemo and Cunha behind the striker. So he has options everywhere. But Sesko is going to be presented to the Old Trafford fans when they play their friendly game today.
I think it's not just Sesko. The whole of the new signings will be presented to the Old Trafford faithful.
Sesko is the headline today.
Which headline?
It's the headline, bro. Nothing you want to tell me.
That's the biggest part of the biggest.
They got announced by Labour this afternoon too.
So let's see what happens with them. Remember, Manchester United, we will sign Sesko, officially sign Sesko for 66.3 million pounds. That's about 76.5 million euros, and the add-ons is about 7.3 million pounds in fees. So that contract will be signed today, and it's going to be presented to the Old Trafford. Let's see how Amorim is going to use all these strikers. He has bought 3 strikers, almost more than 200 million pounds he has spent on firepower this particular summer. Let's see if Manchester United, he can bring Manchester United back to the glory days. Another news for Manchester United, you need to go to their site and watch their new training ground.
Yes, currently.
Go and see what they did in that new training ground. And everybody was complaining that everything was bad there, old equipment, all that, but everything have changed. If you look, I watched that video yesterday from their website.
Yeah.
Every single thing here is brand new. Their training ground brand new.
Is this how we enter my
No,
website?
for real. I saw it yesterday. I saw it yesterday.
You want top fan overnight?
Let's not forget
You want
that.
top fan overnight?
No, let's not forget that this came about because a certain CR7 came out and made those statements.
Everything was new.
Everything tear over 50 million.
It's about 3 minutes video. They showed everything, and from the coaches, from the players, from the everybody made an input to build that new training facility, and it's fantastic. So congratulations. I'm thinking Manchester United don't have an excuse.
They don't have an excuse.
You have strikers
Just because they build one training ground, they don't want to get
everything in that place.
One of the most iconic and stunning facts about the new current team is that you see we used to have in other clubs where you have a trophy room. Now, what they've done with this new current team is that they've made the trophies a part of the general aesthetics of the entire complex. Team. So, anyhow, they are programming. You see, we want you. You have to come and deliver. You get it. But fantastic training complex. Fantastic one.
Because of just one training ground.
Be sure to catch it on
because of they spent on one training ground. They say it's CR7. Is this? As they're not sent to Saudi, if they're sent to Saudi, they don't build new stadium by now.
But
because they're not, I'm saying Qatari, maybe Saudi, not Qatari. Qatari.
Sheikh Jassim.
If they sent to Qatari boy, that Qatari guy, they don't build new stadium by now. But they said to the businessmen of England, Jim.
The penny pinchers of England.
They can't manage money. renovate Carrington. Let's say they build new Carrington. They renovate.
Manage. Manchester United
It wasn't
spent.
renovation, it's total rebuild.
Manchester United spent £50 million to just develop the Carrington training ground. So it's a fantastic thing. You can go on their website, on YouTube, on their social media to watch that video. Fantastic thing that they did there. But let's see what if it's going to affect the general atmosphere for the players and for the fans.